What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another week's episode of Three Simple Men Making Their Way Through the Galaxy. I'm Tom, with me is Ryan and Mike, and today's episode is Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 3, Shadow of Malevolence. Fellas, what do we think about this episode?
Pretty good. Definitely see the Republic on the counterattack after last week's episode where we saw them annihilate 3 cruisers and the rescue of Master Plo Koon. So now, of course, Republic needs to respond because if go unchecked, this cruiser could definitely turn the tide of the war. Um, so we definitely see Anakin taking point on this, and his mission is go after Grievous. Let's end the war as quickly as possible. And we see him giving Shadow Squadron the briefing.
Yeah, I like that this kind of, I feel like, was the first time in a while that we had like a really good, like, kind of whole episode about more or less aerial warfare. We weren't on a planet at all this time. So that was kind of fun to see, kind of the pilots in action and stuff, and in this case Shadow Squadron, who they put together to go ahead and try to save the day. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Good episode.
Yeah, this just way it starts off is you're seeing the damage of this ship that is the Malevolence with its ion cannon weapon and how much it's become a huge threat and issue for the Republic, to the point where just like any strategy they can think of, any plan, try to knock it out.
So we do get an interesting interaction that I think kind of sets the. Oh, sorry, I already bypassed it. But the quote of the episode in the beginning was, "Easy is the path to wisdom for those not blinded by ego," which definitely, I will say, comes into play this episode. But I do want to kind of start off with the little interaction we get between General Grievous and Dooku. Dooku is, warping in via hologram again, and Grievous, in a fit of rage, punches the head off of a battle droid that says he still, is a terrible shot. Grievous punches his head off. Dooku says to him, "Whoa, Grievous, 1, those droids are expensive. 2, the Jedi do not treat their clones that harshly." Which then Grievous kind of scoffs off, and then Dooku immediately turns and goes, "Well, the fact that they do care too much about their clones is what we're going to use against them, and we're going to go and attack the medical state, basically a hospital, but it's a medical space station with 600 injured clones on it, I think they said.
Yeah.
And the fact that knocking it out would be a strategic thing because then they wouldn't be able to heal other clones.
I feel like it was 60,000 or something.
Maybe it was 60,000. That makes more sense.
Yeah, because 600 definitely wouldn't turn the tide of war, but 60,000, yeah, I think that would dent the Republic's troops quite a bit.
Yeah, so that kind of sets the stage, right? Of, okay, we know what they're gonna do now. We do get this back and forth that reminds us of kind of what we've been pointing out throughout a little bit, is you have droids versus clones, and the clones are treated with more humanity for the most part, not all the time, but at least by the Jedi. Most Jedi treat them with humanity, as opposed to the droids that the general has no problem just destroying a droid because he was angry. I mean, and it's kind of crazy because he is also kind of part droid, so it really is like, we're saying destroying droid, it's a droid, but he murdered, right? He basically murdered that battle droid.
That dialogue was just funny still, because it was just funny what the first droid said. He goes, "It's so much fun and easier when they're not shooting back at you." Then that quote comes, "I still can't hit anything."
And I'm assuming that was the one that you pointed out a few episodes ago, Mike, right? Who was shooting at, was it Yoda's escape pod?
Yeah,
he was shooting, so. and he missed. Yeah, right. And he said he was a bad shot. I would assume it was the same guy, but I don't know.
About to get the serial number of the battle droid, but yeah, it could be the same one.
So we do. I'll quickly blurt out some of the clone names I caught out of Shadow Squadron. We got Broadside, Matchstick, and Tag. Those were the only 3 names I found. I don't know if anyone picked up on any other clone names.
Nope.
But yeah, I mean, who wants to take it away with I guess the journey to intercept?
Well, I guess we'll just go back to the briefing because you have Plo Koon listening in, and he's overhearing Anakin's plan of targeting the bridge, defeating Grievous, and Plo Koon warns Anakin that if you go forward with this and you lose men, you might not have enough bombers to complete your mission. So he's kind of like giving that hint, like, hey, let's not be too aggressive about this, um, and be careful about what we have because we only have a limited amount of bombers, and this is the first time we get to see the Y-wings in combat for the Republic. So definitely
Yeah.
a throwback to the original trilogy, with the Rebel Alliance. So I guess I'll just say it now. It kind of gave me some episode 4 vibes, and we'll bring that up later on as we
Yeah, I think I know where you're going with that. Oh, but we'll get into that later.
yeah.
So, Mike, what you just said, though, it totally goes back to that initial quote. Like it's pretty apparent that Anakin is thinking a little ego, right?
Mhm.
Kill Grievous, like that's take
And
out Grievous, or take him below, be the guy who took it out. But the real mission is not an offensive; it's protect this hospital, and that's where Plo Koon kind of comes in, like, hey, we want to make sure we protect the hospital, if not just take out one guy. So I thought that was interesting. We do then get which I think might segue into what you were saying a little bit, but with this conversation, they reach out to the hospital station or the med station, and they tell them what's going on and that they should evacuate as quickly as they can, which is near Naboo. So we do get that the Nabooians are going to send some ships to help with the evacuation. But the Kaminoan, who's on the med station, when talking with one of the other clones, they say hopefully Master Skywalker can get here in time, and she says it is our only hope. So we do get a throw back, but chronologically a throw forward to episode 4 right there with that quote. So A New Hope, so I thought that was fun, and that was actually my quote that I wrote down because I always love catching the only hope quotes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we see the Y-wings getting deployed, and I think this is the first time we've seen like a Jedi starfighter flying with its hyperspace ring throughout the entire journey to get there, because that was one of the things I caught, because as we saw from episode 2, when Obi-Wan went to Kamino and Geonosis, he had the ring, but as soon as he got there, he quickly deployed himself off the ring to go after Jango. But we see Plo Koon utilizing this throughout the entire journey, so that was pretty cool to see not only the Y-wings but the Jedi starfighter in action.
Yep. Good catch
So
there.
with Anakin, of course, you hear him and Ahsoka with their banter over the comms as they're checking in, seeing how everybody's doing. Then we find out that Anakin found out about this route, which was called the Balmorra Run, through smugglers back in his days as a slave on Tatooine. So he's like, oh yeah, we'll take this shortcut. And once you hear Plo Koon, or once Plo Koon hears the name, then he's like, what the? And it's just like,
red flags.
yeah.
Red flags. But just back a little bit on that, Mike, is we get a little dialogue between Anakin, Ahsoka, and Plo Koon, where Ahsoka says, I barely can see anything. And Anakin goes, you don't have to use your eyesight. You just trust your instincts and how to fly through it. And Plo Koon said, he's absolutely right. Trust your instinct, trust your feelings.
Kind of again, I'll probably just episode 4 reference, targeting computer moment where it just use the Force, Luke.
Yep.
So that was, I think we're at what, 2 episode 4 references so far at this episode. So
at least, yeah. I'm sure you got some more.
I think we got maybe one more is when they do their check-in. There's like Shadow 2 check and stand by, Shadow 3 stand by, and where's that? Red 5 standing by, Red 4 standing by from episode 4. So we got
Yep.
3 now.
But clearly with that, we do see like that there is squadron tactics and communication that uphold whether you're Galactic Republic or Rebel scum. But you know, so that was but you're right. And with that though, I think, you know, they patch in with their you know, their unit names. But so I had mentioned that I caught their names before, and this is a throwback to an earlier episode, but even more so what we talked about in an earlier episode, where the names of these characters are sometimes relevant. And one of these characters is named Matchstick, one of the clones, the clone pilots. And very quickly within the nebula, Matchstick, so we didn't mention that we find out that the reason Master Plo is so upset when he learns that they're in the Balmora run is that it's a nesting ground for what is it, Nebrae mantis?
Mantis, yep.
Yeah, so giant space stingrays, basically. And Matchstick gets clipped, and his ship immediately lights on fire. He manages to put that out, but then, sadly, a little bit later, his ship catches on fire yet again. And not only does he go up in flames, but he takes out Tag. He kind of tags Tag because his ship accidentally crashes into him. Mm-hmm. So we have Matchstick and we have Tag, who unfortunately die. Rest in peace. But again, these names, they're only in it for one episode, and the name Matchstick and then Tag foreshadowed exactly how they died. So again, clearly the writers have fun with these names, and I will keep trying to be eagle-eyed and pay attention to these names for that specific reason now that I know that they're doing it, because I'll tell you, not something I ever picked up on the first time watching.
Nope. And again, I think we've talked about the whole, you know, personifying the clones and giving them humanity, compared to how General Grievous treated the droids too. But yeah, so we see that they get through the nebula in time. They get reinforcements from the Nubians, and Obi-Wan's checking in on the progress too, and he's hoping he can get there in time since he took the long way around. And we see the Malevolence show up, and Grievous is ready to target the medical ships fleeing, and then he's deploying the starfighters to go after Anakin's squad, because of course Dooku provides the intelligence from Lord Sidious, who really Palpatine would authorize the plan, and you know, being the two-faced that he is, gives him the tip that, oh yeah, Skywalker's leading the attack, and like, oh yeah, we'll be ready. He won't know what's coming. So you see the initial droid starfighter attack, initial EMP, and then you see the second EMP, which is now targeting the ships, and you see how Grievous treats droids, because like, well, they're going to target this EMP blast is going to target the droid starfighter. He's like, who cares? Prepare to fire, and you see the shot. And not only did we have Matchstick and Tag, but I think we also lost 3 members of Shadow Squadron to the EMP. So I think it was 6, 7, and 10.
You did just trigger something in my mind that I brought up in an earlier episode when they were talking to the I forget their names, Watto species, the Thedosians.
Oh, the Todarians, yeah.
Todarians, thank you, not Thedosians. The Todarians, and he mentions, oh, your spies treat you well, and I was like, oh, we haven't seen any of these spies in action. Who are the spies? Duh, I'm a dummy. The spies, it's Palpatine. He's the spy. He's the ultimate spy. He's the puppet master. Why do you need a spy network when the guy who's basically got the top clearance is also, you know, feeding you information? He's the ultimate spy. So I didn't really connect those dots until just now. So thanks for that one, Mike. I feel real dumb.
But going to that battle, I don't know if you guys picked it up with the Kaminoan on the medical ship, how kind of a dark conversation that was now when they were in a process of the evacuation where they said anyone who's able to move needs to be evacuated first. When we saw a lot of troopers and back to tanks where it's pretty much, it's sad, but they're going to have to stay because they are a liability.
That's the strategy with evacuations, right? I mean, the idea is it's called, I'm getting, but you're walking wounded. You get the people that can walk on their own to move first, and the ones that, because critical, right? If they're critical, there's already a higher possibility that they're not going to survive. So, leave them there the longest and worry about getting them out later, because if they're not going to survive, they're not going to survive. And I guess that, the strategy made sense for the evacuation, right? I mean, you save the ones that you can and hope for the best with the others. So, but yeah, was this our first mention of BAFTA tanks?
I feel like it was mentioned in Attack of the Clones, maybe, when, I don't know, I mean, probably first time for the Clone Wars at least, but I feel like
I really don't think,
because it hasn't been used. It's not used in any of the movies, right?
not on the screen.
I don't think they mention it in the movies. Nobody
I
gets injured enough to be in one.
I think we do, but that's later down the road in I think episode 5. But
Yeah.
there's really, I don't think we've seen it because there was really any use for it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think that might have been the first mention too, because I can't think of it being when it would have needed to be said in anything that we've seen. I mean, you would think that they'd obviously, they don't throw him in when when Anakin loses his hand, he doesn't end up in a tank.
Well, we'll see if there's an eagle-eyed Star Wars fan out there who can tell us that.
I'm gonna just say it, right? I'm gonna say it right now. This is the first ever chronological mention of BAFTA tanks. Challenge me, I will fight you.
You're here, folks.
Full force choke.
Gotta bring some controversy to this podcast.
We're due for some.
Yep, that we are. So now we see. So after the EMP shot and losing 5 starfighters, we see Anakin going in, and this is where I'm starting to see that episode 4 callback to like a trench run as they're going.
Before you get into that, we just breezed over it, but to continue with our theme of droids versus clones, Grievous is warned if he takes that shot, he's going to take out a bunch of his own men, and he doesn't care. He says, "Do it anyway." Sorry, just wanted to get that in there.
I think I mentioned that too.
Oh, did you? Sorry.
Yeah, well, but still a recurring theme of how clones are treated versus droids. So now we see the fighters coming in, and again another episode 4 reference where it kind of reminds me of a trench run, because I heard a reference to like double front deflectors, kind of like the X-Wings and the Y-Wings when they were making their trench run, and you just see all these, obviously they're getting peppered by cannon fire. And I did take a look at the Malevolence. They had a count of 500 twin turbo lasers, so you got pretty well defended ship, and also a very offensive ship with the way it destroys all the ships at EMP. So when you hear Ahsoka calling out like, we need to change a plan, we're losing too many ships here, and then Anakin starts to realize that, oh yeah, I'm getting too ambitious, we need to, and then I think it was Master Plo who suggested, let's target the ion cannon, because if we damage it enough, it'll damage the ship and Grievous won't be able to fire. So then Anakin comes to his senses and then routes the troopers to take the shots or fire their torpedoes at the cannon, and they managed to destroy it, or at least severely damage it, where it backfired and it took out most of the ship. But one other thing I forgot to call out, we had another reference to, I have a bad feeling about this, said by a battle droid. Might have been during, probably as they were approaching. So I did catch that. So I think we got to add that to our tally.
I was gonna say, do I have a bad feeling about this tally?
I think so. I mean, we know at least Obi-Wan said in episode 1.
Oh, I do. And 2.
And then I guess it's battle droids number 3.
So this is season 1, episode 3.
Yep.
1.3 Clone Wars, and it's a battle droid. First bad guy to say it.
Yep.
Cool.
So-
Yeah, you're right. That's number 3. I do have a tally of that.
Yep.
Along with the numbers and the Wilhelm scream. Still sitting at only 3 that I've caught, or that we've caught.
So we see the Republic was victorious. They destroyed the ion cannons, and when General Grievous asked for the damage report, not only did they destroy the cannons, but they also disabled the hyperdrive, so it gave Obi-Wan and his fleet time to get out of hyperspace and start chasing down the ship. So at least they've done their job. But unfortunately, Anakin was a little upset that he didn't get his mission, which was to destroy Grievous. So we do see a little bit reality of command that you aren't going to get through this without battles without losing some troops. So
I was going to make a hot take on that.
All right, go for it.
Even if he went for it,
mhm.
I don't think he would have killed Grievous. I think Grievous would have just ran away, like he always does.
I guess his thought process was to try to blow up the specific the cockpit, right? Like the main or the bridge. Thank you. I don't know. Yeah, would he have done it? Would he not? Would it have just gotten everyone killed, and he would have blown up the bridge? And
Star Wars.
I think they would have lost enough troops by the time he got to the bridge. I mean, for Grievous, assuming that after he fired that last ion cannon shot at the medical station and destroyed it, I think that's when he probably would have ran away. But I kind of get the feeling he would have stuck around no matter what.
I will say that we do get kind of the we can see kind of the inner turmoil or the battle between dark side and light side within Anakin, right? And it's his ego where he wanted to get Grievous. He didn't get Grievous. He was upset about that at first, but then we realized that he's also got his humanity still, and he's upset about the fact that he lost some soldiers, and that's how the episode pretty much ends, with him basically kind of grieving a little bit, not the loss of not killing Grievous, but the loss of his men, and that he realizing that his actions and what he chose to do got them killed. So he that kind of struggle of command, and that kind of we do get the little line that he's an interesting Jedi, right?
One of a kind, yeah.
One of a kind.
I forget what they were saying, because when Anakin was talking to the Kaminoans, oh, you did a great deal, you saved a lot of lives, and then I forget, and then Anakin replied with the opposite. It's well, it's hard taking lives too. So I think
no. He said so you said you should be so happy what you did here. You saved so many lives, and he said, but it's upset. But I lost some lives, not taking lives.
Yeah.
But that he said that he was upset that he lost the lives that he did to get to that point. Yeah. So it was kind of interesting where it was like he snapped back too and was like, hey, buddy, because when he was in that cockpit going for that tower, he needed both Ahsoka and Plo Koon to kind of be like, Anakin, what are you doing? Right? Ahsoka says, you'll be able to get there. Nobody else is going to get there. Everyone else is going to die. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of the little snap back to hey, let's be realistic here. You have men and you're responsible for them. And unfortunately, at that point he had already lost a few.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys noticed, heard, but once after they completed their the sabotage of or the destruction of the ion cannon, you hear that little conversation between Ahsoka, Anakin, and Plo Koon, and it's a nod to an episode 6 quote. It's when, from a certain point of view.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's but I helped. Well, that's kind of true from a certain point of view.
Yeah, they both kind of don't give.
They want to acknowledge it, but they don't want to give her the credit. Yeah.
They don't give her her pat on the back that she's looking for.
Yeah.
But again, that's the same, right? The same kind of that falls into the quote too. Easy is the path to wisdom for those not blinded by ego. And Ahsoka at that point is, she was wise, but then she kind of lets her ego step in where she goes, hey, it was me who was wise. And that kind of then gets, thrown back at her like, you sort of did it. All right. Any deep dives, Mike, or
No, I mean, just no deep dives for this week. I mean, it's just the callbacks to like episode 4 with the whole,
good one?
with the whole trench run, watch those towers, boys, the double front deflectors, and a couple other references I mentioned throughout there. So that not as deep as previous weeks, but
You know what I will point out? The very ending shot, we do get our heroes staring off of a med station, which is also kind of a throw back forward to episode 5. So Empire Strikes Back ends the same way. With the the
medical frigate, you see the ships flying
and them
in.
looking out. They're looking at a galaxy there. Here they were kind of looking, but I thought that was a little something too. All right.
It's like, what, 5 or 6 references to the original trilogy with this episode. So
With that, anything else, guys?
No, I'm good.
no.
All right, Mike, take it away.
All right, that's a wrap. Thank you, everyone, for listening in to 3 Simple Men making their way through the galaxy. Hit that like, comment, subscribe, and come back next week as we watch another episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. May the
What
Force be with you.
episode? Oh, I interrupted you. I never do that. What episode are we watching next?
Oh,
Sorry.
we're watching Clone Wars season 1, episode 4, Destroy Malevolence. So this looks like the ending of the Malevolence trilogy for next week.
Cool. Sorry,
May
back
the
to
Force
you.
be with you.
All right, everyone.